Hello everyone, welcome to the 17-Mile Story Collection. Today we'll dive into the Immortal Cultivation Diary of the Young Zhao Sr. The evening sun faded behind the peaks, casting a golden haze over the valley. A group of inner disciples gathered around senior brother Zhang. His voice was calm, yet every word carried weight. The bottleneck between the third and fourth layer of qi condensation, he said slowly, has nothing to do with talent or luck. It all depends on your heart. A soft female voice broke the silence, gentle yet curious. Senior brother, what makes it so difficult? I'm at the third layer myself. Zhao's son looked up, his heart stirred. It was Zhou, the girl his cousin had been chasing for months. Zhang paused for a long moment before continuing. A cultivator must understand what it means when we say the great Tao is merciless. If you can sever all worldly attachments, the breakthrough is easy. But if you can't, you'll remain stuck there for life. The crowd fell silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. Zhao's son stood at the back, heart trembling slightly. As dusk settled, the disciples slowly dispersed. He walked deeper into the valley, Zhang's words echoing in his mind. Soon, the sound of running water filled the air. A small river appeared before him. Wisps of spiritual energy floated over the surface, rippling softly. He scooped a handful and drank. It was cool and sweet, the qi flowing smoothly through him. So it really does contain qi, he murmured. He took out a few gourds and began filling them one by one. The river murmured quietly, the air calm. Almost too calm. Then a chill crawled up his spine. Zhao's son froze and turned around sharply. There stood his second senior brother, Zhang Quang, silent, expression calm but cold as ice. He had his spiritual sense open the entire time, yet hadn't sensed a thing. Junior brother Zhao, Zhang said softly, his eyes gleaming. This river indeed holds spiritual energy. Drinking more will aid your cultivation. Then his tone shifted. But tell me, you brought quite a few gourds. Did you already know this place would be useful? Zhao Sen's heart sank, but his expression didn't change. My teacher mentioned it before, he said evenly, that this river aids cultivation. Zhang stared at him for a long time, unreadable. Then a faint smile crept across his face. I see. 2 years to reach the first layer of qi condensation. I expect you to be at the second when next we meet. With that, he turned and vanished into the darkness, his footsteps silent as mist. Zhao's son stood by the river, the faint glow of the water flickering in his eyes. And deep within, an unease he could no longer ignore began to stir. Zhao's son clasped his fists and bowed before leaving the valley. Only when he returned to his cave did he finally breathe a sigh of relief. His back was soaked in cold sweat. If not for his habit of concealing his cultivation at all times, his true strength, already at the third layer of qi condensation, would have been exposed. If Zhang Quang had found out, he would have been dead before he could even react. Leaning against the cold stone wall, Zhao's son whispered to himself, cultivators are no different from mortals. We all have desires, sometimes even stronger ones. The world of cultivation is far more cruel than the mundane. No one must ever know about my mysterious pearl. He pulled the lever hidden in the rock wall, sealing the cave shut. Then sat cross-legged and fell into thought. The teachings said, to ascend the path of immortality, one must sever worldly attachments. But ever since joining Penglai Pavilion, he'd seen how desire, greed, and ambition ruled almost everyone. They all speak of cutting off attachments. But who among them truly can? The thought left him restless and uncertain. He knew he couldn't sever family ties, nor abandon his mortal heart. So he made a decision. No more forcing breakthroughs, just steady cultivation. Though the third layer had become his bottleneck, the spiritual energy in his body continued to grow. Thicker, deeper, stronger. Days turned into years. 1 year, 2 years, then another 2. For years of silent cultivation in the back mountain. He left the cave only once, to refill his gourds with river water, and use the mysterious pearl to aid his training. But inside the dream realm of the pearl, time flowed differently. 4 years in the real world meant 25 years in the dream. By now, Zhao's son had cultivated for nearly 28 years in total. Yet still, his realm had not advanced beyond the third layer. Even so, the chi within him felt boundless, like an ocean waiting to erupt. Then one morning, a familiar voice echoed through the valley. "Junior brothers, the 4 years are up. Come out, Master is performing the returning spell in the main hall." All across the cliffside, cave entrances opened one by one. Over 40 disciples emerged, their auras far stronger than when they had first arrived. Zhao Sen scanned the crowd with his divine sense. Zhao Bu had already reached the peak of the 5th layer, just one step away from the 6th. Several others had caught up as well. For years of cultivation, everyone had improved. Everyone. Except him. The woman surnamed Su had also reached the 3rd level of chi refinement. As for senior brother Zhang, when Zhao Sen focused his divine sense, he realized in surprise that the man had already advanced to the 6th level. A vague realization struck him. His cultivation seemed somehow different from everyone else's. For one, his divine sense was sharper. When he scanned the others just now, none of them seemed aware of his probing at all. Moreover, the woman surnamed Zhou had claimed 2 years ago to have reached the 3rd level as well, yet when he observed her, her chi had not increased in the slightest. She was still stagnating at that same stage. A bold thought flashed through Zhao Sen's mind. Perhaps others do not experience the 3rd level as I do. Maybe I have already surpassed it. His heart pounded violently, but he forced the thought down. Analyzing carefully, he suspected the reason might lie in his dream cultivation. The mysterious pearl's power, he had long since tasted its strangeness. Each time he cultivated in the dream realm, he could feel countless glowing motes drifting in the air, tiny, luminous specks that merged into his body, infusing him with an otherworldly energy. He had studied those specks for years, but their true nature remained a mystery. By now, Zhao Sen no longer bothered to hide his cultivation. He thought wryly. For years to reach the 3rd level, especially while cultivating in the spirit-rich rear mountain, it's not unreasonable. None of them knew that in the dream world, he had reached the 3rd level more than 20 years ago. As for the gravity technique, he had practiced it tirelessly for over 2 decades. What began as a beginner's spell had now reached a terrifying realm of mastery. Across all of Qin's cultivation sects, there was likely no one else who had spent 20 years perfecting such a basic art. Then, suddenly, a white light curtain descended silently from the heavens, enveloping everyone in a gentle, warm glow. But this time, Zhao Sen noticed something strange. Within the light shimmered countless cryptic symbols, twisting together into a spinning vortex that swallowed them whole. At the instant he was drawn in, Zhao Sen took a deep breath. A surge of energy threatened to burst from within. He formed a hand seal beneath his sleeve and unleashed the gravity technique. A thunderous rumble shook the valley. The cliff walls shuddered violently and collapsed in perfect unison, echoing like the wrath of heaven. Zhang Kuang's face drained of color. He stood frozen, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Meanwhile, Zhao Sen's lips curved into a faint smile as he stepped calmly into the light. When his vision cleared, he was once again standing in the grand hall of Punlai Pavilion. The sect master sat on the dais, dressed in blue robes, flanked by several solemn elders. The moment they reappeared, several immense divine senses swept across them, broad, heavy, and filled with silent authority. The sect master of Punlai Pavilion smiled faintly and nodded. "For years have passed in the blink of an eye," he said. "I am pleased. Each of you has made considerable progress. Very good. Those who have reached the 5th level of chi refinement, or higher, shall remain. The rest may go and report your 4 years of cultivation to your masters. 3 days from now, the Xiandao sect will visit us. This time, Punlai Pavilion must prevail. As for your new robes, they shall be issued after the exchange." Everyone answered in unison. The disciples below the 5th level bowed and departed from the grand hall. Zhao Sen glanced around, but did not see Niu Dazhu among them. After leaving, he made his way toward the familiar medicine garden. When he arrived, he swept his divine sense lightly across the area. The restrictive barrier shimmered faintly before his eyes, yet now, what once filled him with awe and fear appeared riddled with flaws. He had the distinct feeling that, if he wished, he could easily dismantle it. "Disciple Zhao Sen greets master," he called from outside the gate. Inside, Niu Dazhu paused, frowning slightly. It took him a long moment to remember, for years ago, he had indeed accepted a disciple named Zhao Sen. The boy had been sent for seclusion training and hadn't been seen since. So the useless one finally returns. He thought with mild irritation. Curiosity won out. He waved his sleeve, opening the garden gate. "Enter," he said curtly. Zhao Sen stepped inside, bowing respectfully. Niu Daju looked him up and down, surprise flickering in his eyes. "You've actually reached the 3rd level of qi refinement." Zhao Sen nodded humbly. "After 4 years of seclusion in the valley, I was fortunate enough to make a small breakthrough." A strange look crossed Niu Daju's face as old memories stirred. He remembered clearly his original plan had been to use the soul search technique on this disciple once he reached the 1st level. Yet now, years later, the cost to his own cultivation would hardly be worth it. He decided to let it go. "Very well," he said at last. "Since you've reached the 3rd level, you are now truly my disciple. I, Niu Daju, have taken only one in this lifetime, you. From today onward, you'll live here again. In a few days, our sect will hold an exchange with the Xiandao sect. You will come with me to broaden your experience." After a pause, he asked, "Since you've reached the 3rd level, have you practiced the gravity technique?" Zhao Sen replied calmly, "I have, master, though I still find it rather clumsy." Niu Daju chuckled. "That's normal. Such basic techniques rely purely on repetition. The more you practice, the more natural they become. I myself trained for nearly a year, one of the longest in the entire sect at the time. Watch." He raised his hand, and at once a gleaming miniature sword materialized out of thin air, glimmering with 7-colored light. It circled swiftly through the courtyard, humming as it flew, before settling gently into his palm, its blade shimmering with cold brilliance. Niu Daju nodded in satisfaction. "You can keep that token. It'll let you freely enter and leave the herb garden. But remember this, without my permission, you're not to touch any of the herbs in my courtyard, understand?" Zhao Sen nodded. He knew Niu Daju never really liked him. This sudden generosity likely came only because he'd finally reached the 3rd layer of qi condensation. He bowed respectfully and took his leave. Before long, he arrived at the Sword Spirit Pavilion in the main courtyard. He'd been here once before, returning now brought a flood of old memories. Outside the pavilion sat a plump man in white robes, about 30 years old, unfamiliar to Zhao Sen, clearly someone who hadn't joined the current training camp. The man glanced at Zhao Sen and said in surprise, "Junior brother, you're only at the 3rd layer of qi condensation. What are you doing here? Only those at the 4th layer or higher are allowed inside." Zhao Sen didn't reply. He simply took out Niu Daju's token and tossed it over. The man caught it, glanced down, and his expression immediately turned odd. His cheeks puffed as he tried to hold back laughter, but after a few moments, he couldn't help bursting out laughing. "Oh, that's what this is. I almost forgot, Uncle Niu's lineage has this funny little tradition. Every time there's an inter-sect exchange, they like to hang a flashy flying sword at their side to look impressive." Zhao Sen felt his face burn. Remembering Niu Daju's stern expression earlier only made it worse. The man finally managed to stop laughing and wave his hand. "Go on in, junior brother. I recommend the 3rd sword from the right. It's something else. The first time I saw it, I thought I'd stumbled upon the greatest sword in the entire qi cultivation realm." Zhao Sen thanked him and started forward. But when he got within 5 zhang, his brow furrowed. His spiritual sense picked up a ripple of force spreading from the pavilion, an active barrier meant to block intruders. The plump man realized he'd forgotten to deactivate the formation. He opened his mouth to warn Zhao Sen to stop, but the words caught in his throat. His eyes went wide in disbelief. Zhao Sen felt the pressure pushing against him and snorted coldly. Memories of past humiliation flashed through his mind as he strode forward. 5 zhang. 4. 3. 2. 1. The barrier thickened with each step, yet it couldn't stop him. He walked through with ease. Once inside, Zhao Sen swept the room with his divine sense, only to find it heavily suppressed. His spiritual perception couldn't extend beyond 3 zhang. Meanwhile, the plump disciple jumped to his feet, completely dumbfounded. He knew exactly how powerful the Sword Spirit Pavilion's barrier was. It blocked all spiritual senses, and even intersect elders couldn't barge in by force. Could the formation be broken? He muttered, unable to believe what he'd seen. To test it, he stepped forward. He didn't make it 5 zhong before an immense pressure, like the sky itself collapsing, slammed into him. He was thrown through the air like a rag doll, spitting blood as he hit the ground hard. After a long, trembling pause, he gasped, eyes wide with terror. It's not broken." Inside, Zhao Sen looked around calmly. The room was lined with dozens of ancient swords, each radiating its own distinct aura. His gaze passed over them one by one, until it landed on the third sword from the right. He froze. That so-called greatest sword in the Qin realm was a golden door plank, 2 palms wide, 3 feet long, shining so brightly it hurt the eyes. The glow wasn't spiritual, it was literal gold plating. Beneath that gold was plain black iron. No spiritual resonance, no power. The hilt was set with 2 massive diamonds, and the tassel was woven entirely of gold thread. It was, in short, the most outrageously gaudy sword imaginable. Zhao Sen rubbed his chin. A bit tacky. But honestly, if I ever need money, this thing could sell for a fortune. A wooden plaque beneath it read, "This sword is named Wealthbringer. Forged 500 years ago by a grandmaster of the sect who spared no expense. Legends say it holds power beyond comprehension, but in truth, it has been broken many times. The grandmaster, a great contributor to the sect, requested before his passing that this sword remain here for a fated successor. Whoever chooses this sword must treat it kindly. If it breaks, it must be repaired. Selling it will result in expulsion from the sect." Zhao Sen stared for a long moment, then sighed, and muttered with a wry smile, "Well, Wealthbringer indeed. Take this thing outside, and no one will question my status." Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please leave a comment, give it a like, and share it with others. Your support gives me even more motivation.